Hello. First one in the house, Char. Hello. Good to see you here, sister. So I'm live on both Facebook and YouTube for AA meeting. Tuesday blew by me like there was no Tuesday. My sponsor, she's like, "Are you doing AA today at 11:30 in the morning?" I was like, I forgot. I had a long 2 days at work, and then been a long couple weeks. So found out today that my grandma is in the hospital. She's been there since Sunday. So please send prayers for my grandma. She's almost 100. Don't know all details, but I think she just turned 96. I'm not definite. Don't quote me, so. Right? Yeah, so she's been in there since Sunday. My mom just told me today. They were going to send her home today, but then something happened to her, and so they decided to keep her longer. I don't know anything else other than that. So, I don't know. She's had a long life, though. So, I haven't seen her for a while. But anyways, part of life. So, yeah, she's almost a century old. Well, her best friend / it's her sister, but she just passed away last year. I think it was last year. And so my grandma has just not been herself, so she just I can't go see her. I have a bad cough. I got rid of it for a couple days and it came back. I don't know if it's because of my emphysema or what, but so she's at a hospital that I don't like, and yeah, I don't know what their visiting is for right now, but yeah, I don't know. Anyways, today is AA, and my sister is not in the chat yet, so I don't know what she's doing. Maybe she forgot. She might be on the phone. I don't know. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm Sandra. I'm an alcoholic. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I got new glasses, or so I thought they were new glasses. I've actually had them twice before. So, yeah, I went back to the original frames that I had when I first had to have glasses. I got home, I was all excited because I had new glasses, and no. My sister is like, you already had those ones. I was like, no. And my husband's like, no, she hasn't. I have. I found them. Both other pairs. So, yeah, they're the same. Please be mindful in the comments and the chats. Do not pass judgment. It's a judgment-free zone for these meetings. And don't go and bug people on their page or their channels, accusing them of being the alcoholic. Just because they're in the chat or the comments does not make them the alcoholic. They might be a subscriber of mine. And I hit 500 just night before last. So today I got another 1 subscriber. So I'm at 501. Thank you guys for subscribing to my channel and being such a great support to me and my family. And so, anyways, 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defective characters. 7, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continue to take personal inventory and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. And 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. I'm in the 4th edition, so if you're in a different edition, you're going to be on a different page. But it's in the description, the page, story, book, it's all there. I'm going to read it anyway, so if you don't have a book, it's all right. So we are on Winner Takes All, page 375. Legally blind, but no longer alone, she found a way to stay sober, raise a family, and turn her life over to the care of God. My parents were very much in love and had been married a couple of years when they decided to start a family. They were so excited when their first son was born. They owned their own small business, and with the arrival of their son, their lives seemed perfect until tragedy struck. When their son was about 2 years old, my parents were eating at a local restaurant and he was dancing to the music of the jukebox and having a good time. He followed some older children outside and was hit by a car. My parents carried him in an ambulance to a hospital 30 miles away, where he was pronounced dead. On arrival, my parents were stricken with grief. One miracle that brought them some joy in the midst of all the pain was that Mom found out she was pregnant. When this little girl was born, she brought them great joy. She did not take the place of her brother, but in her own right, she did bring them joy. They tried again to have another little boy, but they had me instead. Not only was I a girl, but I was also born legally blind. A year or so later, they finally did get the boy they wanted, and there was a big party to celebrate his birth. From the very beginning, I felt different and unwanted. Since I wanted at a very young age, as children do, I had to make sense out of my life. So I came to the conclusion that I was bad and God knew I was bad. So God made me a handicap to punish me. I thought that the undertow of sadness in my family was because of me. Later, I realized that a part of it might have been due to my handicap, but there was still a lot of grieving going on. My father turned to alcohol and was a very angry man. When we were growing up, he was very critical. I was told things on a daily basis like I was dumb and lazy. When I started school, I truly realized how different I was from other children. Children were very cruel and made fun of me. I could tell you many stories of times I was treated badly, and although the stories would be different, the feeling was always the same. I was not good enough, and I hurt. Special education was mostly for the mentally retarded, so I did not get much support from my teachers. Though there were two teachers who made a difference in my life. One was a third grade teacher who got me large print books. It felt so good that someone understood I had a problem, but that was overruled by the embarrassment I felt trying to carry those big books around. The other teacher was a freshman high school teacher who flunked me. It was as if I heard her say, "You can do better." All the other teachers just let me pass, whether I knew the material or not. When I got out of high school, I felt as if I had gotten out of some kind of prison. I graduated 150th out of a class of 152. Hey, Lily. I felt that I was dumb. It was during my high school years that I discovered alcohol and my problems were over. Now I was pretty and smart. For the first time, I felt as if I fit in. I still could not see. Oh well, no big deal. I felt good. I got married and had two children. I married a man who was not or could not be honest. For several years after we were married, I did not drink. My sister went through a divorce and moved to the town I was living in. To be a good sister, I went out with her, for she knew no one in the town. We went to a country western place that had a beer bust. You just paid a certain amount to get in, and you could drink all you wanted to drink. I thought I had arrived in heaven. We did this several times a week, and then she started meeting people and started dating. Well, I couldn't drive, so I started drinking more and more at home. Several years later, alcohol had control over my life. I had a t-shirt that I just loved. It said, "I used to hate myself in the morning, now I sleep till noon." That described my feelings totally. When my daughter had to go to the hospital, I stayed sober for the 5 days she was there and told myself that I had licked the alcohol problem. On the way home from the hospital, I got drunk again. I cannot tell you the number of times I tried to stop on my own. My son would look at me and say, "Mom, why do you have to drink so much?" He was about 11 years old at the time. So one night I got on my knees and said, "God, change me or let me die." It was at this point in my life that I called Alcoholics Anonymous and asked for help. They sent two ladies over to my house. They sat with me and I told them that I drank because my marriage was bad. One of the ladies held my hand and said, "That is not why you drink." I told them I drank because I was part German. She patted my hand and said, "No, that's not why you drink." Then I told them I drank because I was legally blind. They said, "No, that's not why you drink." And they started to explain to me that alcoholism is a disease. They shaped their stories with me, or shaped. They shared, not shaped. They shared their stories with me and told me how alcohol had taken over their lives. I started going to meetings, and my stories sounded so dull next to some of the stories I heard. The most interesting thing I could think to tell was about the time my friends who were also drunk let me drive the car. I almost got us all killed. But what fun! Legally blind, drunk, and behind the wheel of a car, God was really taking care of me and the other people on the road that night. I just didn't know it at the time. The truth is, most of my drinking was done at home alone. I would call people and talk, and the following mornings were awful, trying to piece together what I had said. I would say things to my husband like, "Wasn't that an interesting call last night?" hoping he would volunteer information. My hands were beginning to shake without the alcohol, yet when I got to AA, I wasn't sure I belonged because my drunkalog was not exciting. Then one night at an AA meeting, a friend said that even though he had been in jail and done and lots of stuff, he was no different from me. He felt the same things I felt. It was then that I knew I was not unique, that the people did understand the pain inside me. I met a lady who had a handicapped child, and we learned so much from each other. One important thing that I learned was that handicap is not a four-letter word. Handicap is not a dirty word. I learned that I was not bad, that I was one of God's special children, that God had a plan for my life. The people of AA showed me how my past could and would become an asset. You better not be peeing over there, mister. I got a sponsor and started working the steps. The promises of the big book started coming true for me. The feeling of uselessness and self-pity went away, and I could see how my experiences could help others. When I was 3 years sober, I made one of the most difficult decisions I had ever made. I left the marriage. I did not leave because I didn't love him. I still love him. but the marriage was not a healthy place for me to be. I found myself with 2 children to support. I was legally blind and had no job skills. When I moved out, I first moved into public housing for blind people. This was a shocking experience for me, but it was full of growth. For the first time in my life, I was learning to accept my handicap. Before this, I would plan out my day as if I could see and then plan it out again based on the fact that my vision was limited. Through the Commission for the Blind, I got involved in a program that helps blind people become self-employed. After 3 months of training, I moved to a city a couple of 100 miles away where I knew no one. I lived in an apartment that was about a mile from a coffee shop that I operated. I would walk to work at 6:30 a.m., carry $200 in opening cash on a dark road, and I was afraid. I had 2 people working for me, and on my second day, one of them did not show up. I'd never run a business before, and my 3 months of training just didn't seem enough. It was a hard time for me. A lady from a major food company came by to take my grocery order, and I didn't have a clue how much coffee, bacon, or hamburger meat I needed. She shared with me what the previous manager had ordered and helped me place an order. Just a second. God only knows how we got on the subject, but she was a member of AA and later would become my new sponsor. She picked me up and took me to meetings. At one of the meetings, I let a guy who for the next year picked me up and drove me to work. I paid him $1 each morning. I am sure that did not cover his gas, but it helped me to feel I was paying my way. For the first time in my life, I was now supporting myself. This is just an example of how God works in my life. No longer did I have to drink, but it was much more than that. Everything I needed was provided. I had a God of my understanding that helped me in every aspect of my life. In working the steps, my life changed. I think differently today. I feel different today. I am new. We have a sign at the AA meeting I go to that says, "Expect a miracle. My sobriety is full of miracles." When my son filled out an application for college, I filled one out too and was accepted. Soon I will be a senior, and I have a 3.71 grade point average. Thanks to AA, I have come a long way from being near the bottom of my high school class. It takes me a lot longer to read the material, so I have a CCTV. I put my book under my camera and it comes out in big print. on a monitor. I have a talking calculator that helped me get through statistics and a telescope that can help me see the board. I accept help from the Disabled Students Service and gladly make use of the volunteer note takers. I learned to accept the things I could not change, in this case, my vision, the change the things I can. I could be grateful for and accept visual aids instead of being embarrassed in rejecting them as I had when I was younger. I have already told you about some of the miracles that have happened. However, there's more. I want to tell you how I feel inside. I'm no longer spiritually bankrupt. It's as if I have a magic source in my life that has provided me with all I need. I just celebrated my 12th year of sobriety a couple of months ago. When I first came to AA, I didn't know who I was. My sponsor said, "Great, if you don't know who you are, you can become whomever God wants you to be." Today I am doing things that I never dreamt possible. More importantly, it is the peace and serenity I feel inside that keeps me coming back. I have been through hard times in and out of sobriety, but before AA, it didn't matter how good things got. I always had a feeling that something was wrong. Since AA, it doesn't matter how bad things get. I always have a feeling that everything is going to be all right. In working the 12 steps, my life and my old ways of thinking have changed. I have no control over some of the things that happen in my life, but with the help of God, I can now choose how I will respond. Today, I choose to be happy, and when I'm not, I have the tools of the program to put me back on track. And of course, me and my highlighter happy. I highlighted a bunch in this one. So the first thing I highlighted in this one is my son would look at me and say, "Mom, why do you have to drink so much?" My oldest son did that. And it was when I got into my drinking when he decided that he didn't want to live with us anymore. He wanted to go and live with my parents. And I don't blame him because, quite frankly, I was not nice. And I know I wasn't nice. I never even tried to act like I was nice or being nice. Because at that point in time, I didn't care about anything or anyone other than me and my alcohol. That is a true alcoholic. Me. So I also highlighted, no, that's not why you drink. And they started to explain to me that alcoholism is a disease. They shared their stories with me and told me how alcohol had taken over their lives. That happened. Really happened. Um, so y'all know the first meeting I went just because a friend asked me to meet him there. And it had been many years since I had seen him. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go meet my friend. And no, I was not by myself. My husband was with me. But so I went. And I didn't think that I was gonna ever go back again before I even went in there. I had already said this is just to meet my friend, this is not going to mean anything to me. Boy, was I wrong. 11 years later, AA is still right here and right here. It has not left. And then I highlighted, the truth is, most of my drinking was done at home alone. I would call people and talk, and the following mornings were awful, trying to piece together what I had said. I would say things to my husband like, wasn't that an interesting call last night? That was me. To a T. Yeah, I did that. I'd call everybody. Be like, hey, how you doing? I have no clue what all I said. Unless if it was talking to my birth father, then I knew exactly what I said. But either way, that was me. Totally me. I would call people and I would not know what I was saying. And I'd ask my husband, that was an interesting call. And he would be like, nope, I have no clue what you're talking about. And leave me out to dry. And then the handicap is not a 4-letter word. So many of you know I have a hearing loss. And so I grew up with hearing aids. I got made fun of quite a lot for my hearing aids. And so when my stepsister, my ex-stepsister, whatever you want to call her, she's passed on now, but she threw my hearing aids in the bathtub full of water. And so when that happened, I was like, oh darn, too bad. My dad's insurance can't replace those. So looks like I got out of wearing those. Yeah, until I became an adult. And then I was like, I really need those. But I had gotten them when I was 7, thanks to the Lions Club. Because my dad's insurance, because I have a birth father and I have a dad. My dad raised me and supported me. And so through his insurance, they didn't cover him. So I won a medal for lifting a wash machine off my mom's arm when I was 7. And the Lions Club donated the funds for me to get hearing aids. And so I had hearing aids when I was 7. And as I grew up, my hearing got a little bit better, but they still wanted me to have 2. So that way I could wear one in each ear, but one at a time. I didn't have to wear both of them at the same time. So that was heaven for me, except for, it would have been different. My sister talked me into wearing them all the time, 24/7. What if you can't hear the fire alarm? Was her thing. And so my ears really hurt from wearing them all the time. But I understood why she said it. I hadn't thought about that until she said something. But thank you, twin. I love you. Um, we have a sign at the AA meeting I go to that says, "Expect a miracle. My sobriety is full of miracles." And that is the truth. AA is a miracle. It works a lot of miracles for a lot of people in different ways. We all have that one same aspect of why we're there, and that's the alcohol. And we all have that common thing. Hey, it's all right. But we all have the alcoholism in common, and a lot of our stories are connected in more than just that. And that's the amazing thing is we're all walks of life, and we get along because of our alcoholism and the wants to be sober and stay sober and live that sober life. And that expect miracles is the truth. And then I highlighted, I learned to accept the things I could not change. In this case, my vision, and change the things I can. I could be grateful for and accept the visual aids instead of being embarrassed and rejecting them as I had when I was younger. See, that's me too. If I know for sure that I'm going to be going to a meeting, a lot of people don't talk very loud in the meeting, so I have a really hard time hearing. And so when I got my hearing aid 11 years, well, I had it before AA, but I really started using it more when I started AA, because after that first meeting and deciding I was going to keep going, that I needed to have that as a way I could hear everything. And so I started wearing my hearing aid. Chartoni is my sponsor, if you were wondering. But needing to have a hearing aid so I could hear the meetings gave me a reason that I could accept the help with that. I mean, I had a boss telling me that I needed to wear it while I was at work, but I didn't do it. And I was working in the woods, of all places. But, so, yeah, it taught me that I need to accept that I needed to use that when I need to. I can't at work because it's too loud. And then in working the 12 steps, my life and my old way of thinking had changed. I have no control over some of the things that happen in my life, but with the help of God, I can now choose how I respond. That is a fact. So when I first got sober, and I learned that I had to use my voice, I would pick arguments. Me, yes. I would make the argument. Any chance I could, I argued with somebody about anything. And when I was working my steps and learning how things work, I started knowing how to respond or not respond to things. Yes, I still argue with people, mostly my son and my dad. Not my youngest son. My youngest son lives with me, but my oldest son and I argue. Especially, yeah, we argue. And then my dad, my dad is my dad. I've always argued with him. But I do not respond how I used to. If I get into an argument and I'm at somebody else's place, I leave. And if they're here, I tell them to leave. Because I don't want to argue. I just want to do what I need to do, and always remembering that I need to put my sobriety first. And so I learned to put that above all else, including my family. That comes before anything. And because I can't have a good relationship if I'm drinking with anyone, even myself. Every day function is a miracle with my medical and right, Char, I agree. Yes. And I saw that you were out and about and got to go do a video, and that is really awesome that you got to go. And I know you're not able to just get up and go anytime you want, and that made me happy to see you out there doing some videos and of outside, and I'm just really glad that you got to do that. And thank you again for being part of my channel and one of the 500 that are subscribed. Without you guys being subscribers, I wouldn't be at where I'm at now. And all my videos are just whatever, stuff I think that people might like. And I'm not even really doing it to become famous. The biggest thing of my channel is right here, doing the AA meetings, and that is one of my biggest purposes in life, being sober. And let me tell you, you guys need, if you're an alcoholic and you need help, AA is a good place to go, and make sure you get a sponsor. That was one of my first things that I did. Was after that first meeting, I decided then that I was going to go again, even though I didn't hear what everybody was saying. But I didn't even say my name that first day. My husband told everybody who I was. And so I decided that I was going to go to another meeting, and I called three ladies on the list that I was given that first meeting, and she became my sponsor. She answered her phone, and she's been my sponsor for 11 years, and I wouldn't trade her for nothing. She's become like another mom, another best friend. She's a big part of my life. That is very true. You have to have God of your own understanding. It doesn't have to be a religion. It doesn't have to be a human. It can be whatever you want it to be. But I do agree with that. You have to have a good relationship with your creator, whatever you choose. And for sure, I'm not religious. I'm baptized, but kind of not happy to say when I'm baptized. But I got baptized because my grandmother wanted me to. I know, right reason, huh? But I got baptized when I was 17. After I had my oldest son, him and I got baptized on the same day. And, neither one of my kids go to church. They're both baptized, same as I am. And none of us go to church, but we do believe in something bigger than ourselves. And, and I especially believe in AA being the best thing for a lot of people. And, I do have family members who are still drinking, and I pray for them to find AA and actually want it for the right reason, and that's for their sobriety, for themselves, to fix themselves, because nobody else can do it for them. And they have to come to terms with it for themselves and not make the reason another person, place, or thing. You gotta do it for the right, and that is for you. I think that's why it's worked for me, is because I chose it for me. And I still work my program every day. I do a lot of meditating. My sponsor said playing games on the phone is meditating, so I do a lot of that. Or watching videos. And now I can laugh at dumb stuff. But I've had a lot of great things happen since sobriety, and I've had bad things happen. But I've learned to accept it as it is, because I can't change it. And, life is on its own terms, and you just have to live it one day at a time. Yeah, I love that you do that, Char. You study a creative way to express creatively. Yes, and you do so much great artwork. And yes, you have to pray for those you have a resentment for. Yes, that's a big one that Tony has always expressed to me. Always pray for them and breathe. Make sure you breathe. Pray and breathe. And don't forget to read. What one was that you were always telling me to read? I think it was page 85, right? Am I right? I might be right. Let's see if I'm right. I'm going to see if I'm right here. Let me see. 75. Trying to find it. Every day is a day when we must carry the vision of God's will into all our activities. How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. These are thoughts which must go with us constantly. We can exercise our willpower along this line all we wish. It is the proper use of the will. But see, she's in there saying, tell me exactly what it says, and I'll tell you where it is in the big book. Okay, I'm going to tell you. So it is when you are bugging somebody to go to AA and you just keep nagging. What page is that on where it says not to do that? Yes, 4th edition. So you gotta look too. Pretty much chapter 8. Anyways, so I learned to not harass people about going to AA. And that was when I was trying to get my sister to come to AA. And my sponsor kept nagging me about it. She's like, stop asking her. Just stop asking her. She's not going to come if you nag her and read this. And I kept putting it off, procrastinating. Me, I always procrastinate everything. And so finally, we got to that part in the book. And it was like, aha, there it is. Now I understand what she's saying. Oh, somebody noticed? Yes, I'm wearing eyeliner. Surprise, I have makeup on. I usually do for AA nowadays. Gives me a little pick me up. You wouldn't have noticed if I had taken my glasses off. But anyways, yes, so yeah, Lou, you noticed everything. You noticed that I had got the same glasses again. Dang it. I'll show you guys. They're right here. Y'all gonna laugh at me. Nope, these are. Yep, those are it. That's one. Nope. Ready for this, y'all? They're all the same. Yes, the ones on my face, too. They're all the same. And who points it out? My twin. She's like, hey, you've already had those ones. No. And then I was like, oh, yes, I have. Dang it. My husband and I came in the house and I was like, I bet you they are the same. Because one person would realize that, and that's my sister. And so I went looking in my room. Yeah. Same glasses. Ugh. But these are the only ones with the lines in them, though. So it's all good. I know which ones to wear. But anyways, guys, if you're new here, please like and comment and subscribe. If you want to come to another meeting, hang out, you don't have to talk. I understand if you don't. A lot of people don't talk in the chats. But if you're a newcomer, welcome here. And if one day you feel like you want to reach out and come into the comments in the chat, you're welcome to. And we won't judge you here. But if you are struggling with addiction or alcoholism, please reach out to churches, hospitals. They all have the numbers for AA and NA. They have numbers. And that's all you have to do is just call them and ask for it. Look up AA meetings. There's AA meetings everywhere, every day, every hour, every minute. And always remember, you're never alone. You're not in this fight alone. There are more people like you. And we all matter, and we all deserve that chance to find sobriety and stay sober for life, and have a program that is there to help you through those good times and the bad times when you're struggling to understand what's going on. But just remember, you're welcome to reach out in the chat and the comments. But thank you guys for being here. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. Love you guys. You're welcome. Love you guys. Be safe out there and stay sober.